Gentlemen, welcome to Week 10 of the NFL slate. I'm your host, David Robinson, joined by my co-host over here, Ronald Wilson Reagan. I'd give you a little different angle tonight. I had some technical difficulties, had to move things around, doing it on the laptop tonight, so I hope it comes out well. I know you guys like it, so who cares? Who matters? I'm going to start off and say nobody can touch Joe. I mean, Joe is just superior to the rest of us. I don't know why we have to go through this charade. You know, I was beaten up, and then I was going through the text messages, going through research tonight, and I realized Joe said something last week that kind of bothered me. Big Joe said he picked up a game on the field last week. Well, I must not even be in the field. I must be behind the entire field, and I don't even count anymore. And it got me a little bit frustrated, Joe. I'm going to tell you, you know what? There's 7 weeks left to go. There's a lot of movement that can still happen, so saying you picked up a game on the field was incorrect. Now, Mike, I'm going to call you out this week, too. No whiteboard this week. That bothered me. You could have taken a picture of it on Wednesday. You know, I know. I've got a new baby, this and that. You're a busy guy making a bunch of money. You're handsome, tall, and skinny. And that'll lead me to my segue. Oh, and I want my spreadsheets back, too, because I don't like just looking at the numbers. I want to see the actual records. But my segue back to sports memory lane. Back to a time when young Michael Brinick was fat and not dominated sports. Yes, we're going to go back to 1992. My sports memory lane starts like this. It's 1992. The Epler Chieftains are facing the Bemis Spartans, something like that. Epler's got a home game. Now, let me explain something. Mike and I were the 6th and 7th men on that team, if I recall correctly, which I know, Joe, Dave, you guys probably don't know much about being the 6th and 7th man, and I know, Mike, you grew to be a tall and handsome man in high school and didn't know what being a 6th man was about. But I did. You know what it meant is that you found the 7th man and you sat on the bench with him, and, you know, in the first half you got your token 5-6 minutes. And in the second half you sat down and watched the basketball game, talked to your buddy on the bench, and hoped your team won. Hoped your team won. And so during this game, Mike and I are sitting on the bench, and you know, we're cheering on our teammates. We're being good teammates. We might be throwing a side conversation in here or there about how we're not going to play the rest of the game, and you know, maybe making some side bets on if Anthony Colasani is going to score 4 points in the 5th quarter or something like that. We're in a tight ball game, down 1, a couple minutes left to go, and David Dolan drives the lane, puts up a right-handed layup. It goes, he's fouled, and all of a sudden you hear, "Oh! Oh! Oh!" in a shrieking 12-year-old voice. David Dolan took a pretty good nut shot that day. He was down on the floor for quite a little bit. Quite such a long time that Coach Joe Emanuel had to look down the bench, stared me right in the eye, pointed at me, go in the game. Cold off the bench, hasn't played through the second quarter. I got a free throw to shoot. I hit it. And lead my team to 3 straight possessions, 3 straight scoring possessions. I ended up with 5 points, 2 assists on the game, all down in crunch time, and lead the team to victory. So yeah, that's my sports memory lane. If you guys want to share it once in a while, you know, put them out there, you know, text me. Let me know if you guys think anything, we can go anywhere with that. The music tonight is brought to you by Hootie and the Blowfish. Yeah, those guys are back together. I don't know if you guys know, they just actually released a new album, so check it out. I actually went to a concert in August. They were awesome. Great time. Sat right up front. I mean, a lot of fun. Let's move on to Pistons Corner. I'm going to break down every game this week. The Pistons played 4 times this week. They've actually played the most games in the NBA this year. They have, the schedule makers didn't do them any favors by scheduling 10 games this early, but they did us some favors because they had probably the easiest schedule so far this season. We'll get to that a little bit later. They're 4-6 on the year. Injuries are just killing them. Derrick Rose, the former MVP, Derrick Rose out with some sort of nagging hamstring injury. Blake Griffin's still yet to play. Supposed to be back on Monday, though, so stay tuned. Maybe check it out. Monday night, we flip back and forth in that great Monday Night Football matchup we have this week, and the Pistons game. Check it out a little bit. They get wins over the Nets and the Knicks, lose to the Wizards and the Pacers, but I just want to look at it this way. What do I like? What don't I like? I do like that Luke Kennard, that's one thing I touched upon a couple of weeks ago when we started this segment, is that he is actually having a career season. Career highs in minutes, points, field goals, three-point percentage. He's averaging 18 a game, 32 minutes, 45% from the field, 42 from three, being aggressive, and I like that. And it might be an absence of any real offensive options, but that's fine. Just let me know that this is a guy that we can hold on to, and maybe we don't want to move for some aging veteran to hope that we're the sixth seed or something like that. This is a guy we're going to hold on to and we're going to pay, and that's fine. I want to see that throughout the entire season. But at the end of the year, Luke Kennard has that same stat line. This is somebody we want to hold on to. Not an injury-prone guy. He's got that white guy stigma, but he does make some good moves towards the basket. He hits his mid-range jump shots a lot, and I like him. I think he's a tough guy. I like Luke Kennard, and I think their effort has been decent. This is a beat-up team that is 4-6. And the games that they have won just through clear will and effort. They have worked harder than the other teams. And even in some of their losses, they've given decent effort. It's not outstanding, crazy, 04 Pistons effort, but it's decent effort. What I don't like these Andre Drummond fake numbers. Because, guys, this guy's going to get paid this offseason, and I'm going to talk about it every week. He's averaging 22 points and 18 rebounds a game. A lot of it has to do with the fact that Blake Griffin is out. But if this guy ends up with something like 20 points and 17 rebounds a game at the end of the year, he's made some improvements and some strides on the offensive end, but his defense is atrocious. That's the funny thing. He gets all these rebounds, but if you look at the end of every year over the last few seasons, you would think that the guy that leads the league in rebounds 3 straight years would get votes for Defensive Player of the Year. He doesn't get votes because the guys that vote on this stuff watch him play, and he can't defend anybody. He can't play off the ball at all. And that'll be another thing I don't like about this team. Like I said, the effort is good, but it's not on the defensive end. It's so fundamentally unsound when it comes to individual players and how they play defense. Guys, we don't have to go back too far to our basketball careers where, it was really easy to play off-ball defense. You see your man, you see the ball, you point 2 ways, and, you sag a little bit more this way if the guy's not a shooter. If he is a shooter, you kind of play a little bit tighter out this way. If you're supposed to be a help defender or not. And these guys really just don't get, simple concepts like that. And it drives me crazy across the NBA, but especially right here at home in Detroit. If you watch those 04 Pistons, they were great at it. Literally, they were one of the best in NBA history, and that's why they won a championship, in an off year. It was great. So let's move on to the picks. We'll do the usual here. We're going to do the ones I don't, and then the ones I do. Give you a little analysis on all the games, though. Let's go out to Cleveland, Ohio. Where those Freddie Soup Kitchens and his 2-6 Browns are hosting the Buffalo Bills and their 6-2 record. This has got to be the oddest spread that's ever occurred in NFL history with teams with this diverse of records. The Browns are laying 3 at home with that record. I don't get it. I don't get it. I guess you could say Buffalo's a paper tiger, and maybe they are. But you would think that, the betting public does the bets are coming in on Buffalo, but that spread is stayed solid at 3. So that means that Vegas thinks that this is an even game on a neutral field. So pick your winner. Buffalo's rush defense, not very good. If that coaching staff can actually come up with a game plan, much like they did against New England, and stick to it, and run Nick Chubb down their throat, and don't make Baker Mayfield try and make 2 or 3 reads, I think Cleveland really does have a chance to cover this spread. But I just can't touch it. I can't touch it. It's too tough. I've gotten burned on the Browns before this year, and they lose in Denver last week. It's just, I don't know if those guys can actually get right. This is either going to be a game where, okay, the Browns are back on the right track, or it's going to be a total dumpster fire after this game. They have to win this game. So I would want to lean Buffalo here. The money would tell me that Vegas thinks Cleveland's going to cover here, so I just stay away. Definitely not a play for me. Let's go down to Tampa Bay, where the Bucs are laying 4.5 against the Cardinals. the bets are on Arizona. There's not a ton of movement there. So it kind of makes me think that maybe, there's some money coming in on Tampa. But at the end of the day, I just don't trust either one of these teams. It's like Tampa Bay's, a good fantasy offense to have. Like, I'd like to have some of those receivers on the fantasy team, and maybe Arizona comes up and they look good, but our expectations were just so low of this team that they're 3-5-1, so maybe they're better than what we think, that kind of stuff. And so I don't trust either one of these teams, so I just stay away. Let's go out to Cincinnati, Ohio, where those Bungles off a bye week are hosting the Baltimore Ravens, and they're laying. The Bungles are catching 10 points at home. Baltimore comes off that impressive win last week against New England. There's definitely a little bit of theory there where they're going to fall back down to earth, have a little letdown, go into Cincinnati. Cincinnati's playing their backup quarterback. We're down to Ryan Finley now. That line has moved down. The bets are on Baltimore, but the money's on Cincinnati. We're staying at 10 there. I don't know. I want to bet on Baltimore. They should beat them by 40, but they played them a few weeks ago at home and only won by 8 or 9. So I just don't know. That was one really quickly. I threw my hands up in the air and just said, no, it doesn't make any sense to me. I almost would have been more intrigued if Baltimore was a 14-point favorite to play Baltimore, but I leave it alone. Let's go out to Indianapolis, Indiana, where the Jacoby Brissett-led Colts are laying 11 big points against those Miami Dolphins. Really, I bet on the Colts last week. Kind of feel like I got a little bit of a raw deal there. I thought the Colts were in control of that game early. Brissett goes out, but Hoyer comes in, scores a touchdown immediately. And, late in the second half there, Colts are driving down the field to make it a 17-3 game, and Hoyer just throws an awful pick six. The game's 10-10, and now they're in a dogfight. And really, was that, the worst attempt at the end by Adam Vinatieri to make a field goal? It was terrible. It was absolutely awful. The thing never had a chance from 37 yards, 42 yards. I don't know. It didn't even it wasn't one of those ones where you're like, oh, it was no, just Shankopotamus. Shankopotamus. Adam Vinatieri. I don't know. This line's moved down from 12 to 10.5. Money's on Miami. Miami 4-0 against the spread over the last 4 games. I like me some Colts action there, but I don't know. God bless you if you're going to pick that game. Let's go up to Green Bay, where the Packers are laying 3.5 points against the Carolina Panthers. And I told you last week, this is something I'm going to try to do the rest of the season. I'm going to try and look at these numbers and not so much at these teams. And I told you last week it didn't make much sense. The Packers were only laying 3.5 points on the road against the Chargers. And, it made a bunch of sense real quick in that game. The Packers only have 55 yards of offense in the third quarter. The Chargers just totally dominate that game. And, after the game, Aaron Rodgers comes out and says, yeah, I think we were partying too much out in L.A. for the last 48 hours, and that's why we got our asses kicked. So you could say this is going to be a bounce-back situation here for the Packers. I like that logic, but this spread moves correctly. I think we're down to 5 now. Our line's at 5.5, down to 5 now. Some money coming in there. So, there's no, the bets aren't on one team, the money's on another team. It's the bets and the money are kind of even, so, if the spread moves, it's supposed to move this way to get bets on the other side. So I think it's a very square play for everybody. It's going to be 34 degrees at kickoff. That's in favor of the Packers, I suppose. But, these guys are football players. I don't know, it's 34 degrees. This isn't that cold, so don't worry about that too much if you're backing the Panthers there. If I'm backing the Panthers, I love the fact that Green Bay, they love to give up yardage to running backs, receiving and rushing, and you have the best in the game at it on the other side of the football. Christian McCaffrey could have a huge day. We're talking 200-plus yards, a couple scores. Now, is that enough for me to take the Panthers here? No, I lay off, but that's how I would be thinking about this game. Let's go out to Soldier Field, where the Detroit Lions are catching 2.5 points against the Chicago Bears. That Bears offense is atrocious. But I would hope that this week they would understand the weakness of the Detroit Lions. If you look back and you go, what did Josh Jacobs do to the Lions? What did Saquon Barkley do to the Lions? Not so much rushing, but he still has some big receiving yardage. What did Dalvin Cook do to the Lions? What did the Green Bay Packers rushing attack of Jamal Williams and Aaron Jones through the line. It's like the Lions can't stop the run. They're just a sieve. It's 5 yards every time. So I would think that the Bears would go into this game and just, set, hike, David Montgomery, here's the ball, go. Set, hike, David Montgomery, here's the ball, go. So I can't bet on Mitch Trubisky, though. I mean, Biscuits is going to make some mistakes. And I can't bet against Matt Stafford. I mean, I know he hasn't, for somehow, some way, Matthew Stafford has not figured out a way to win in this league yet. He's putting up MVP numbers this year, guys. I mean, we're talking on pace for 5,000 yards, 40 touchdowns, less than 10 picks. But I do think that, that last play in Oakland last week, it bothered me, that offensive alignment. Like, you're on the 1 yard line, you can't run the ball, so why don't we just run our best 2-point play there? Like, I don't get it. Like, you've practiced like your best 2-point play, and we don't run it. So we run some sort of weird play action to the back of the end zone for the tight end, who's supposed to be T.J. Hockenson, but he's not in the game because he's in the tent getting looked at for getting the wind knocked out of him. So we're throwing to like the third string tight end, Thomas Jordan, something like that. It didn't make any sense to me, and I think Stafford's just got to step up there and just be like, no, this is not what we're going to do, and be a leader. And maybe that's why he hasn't learned how to win in this league, and maybe that's why a lot of people call him, just a stat collector. I like Matt Stafford. I love the way he throws the ball. I love a lot of the decisions he makes. I love the way that he's pushing the ball down the field this year. He's throwing deep balls. I mean, he's literally statistically a top 2 or 3 quarterback in the league this year and not getting it done. Let's move out to Pittsburgh, where, the Rams are only in 3.5 going into Pittsburgh. And, I talk about Jared Goff on the road compared to his home splits. It's very poor. Pittsburgh, quietly the Steelers got themselves back to 4-4. That's pretty incredible. And, really, Pittsburgh, what they do is pressure the quarterback. They're second in the NFL this year on quarterback pressures. And, 70% of the bets are on the Rams right now. But this line has stayed pretty steady. It's, up 4, 3.5, we're in there, and we're in that range. So if we have all those bets on the Rams, that means there's some serious money coming in, some sharp money coming in on the Steelers at home, which I could understand. I can get that. So this is not a square play for me, and it would be a sharp play to take Pittsburgh here. So if you take Steelers here, I understand where you're going. But playing the Rams this week, I think, is a mistake. And that's it for the don'ts. Let's go to the do's. Get a little bit more passionate about things. We'll go to Nashville, Tennessee. That's where the Titans play, right? And I didn't look at any trends in this game. Kansas City, -6. Give me that. Mahomes is back. He's going to be out to prove a point. And I don't think that they would bring Mahomes back unless he's 100%. And I've heard some things this week that, Mahomes is going to be limited in his mobility. No. I think that after the dislocated kneecap on a quarterback's knee, that staff is not going to take any chances with the 6-3 Kansas City Chiefs. If Mahomes is going to play, which he's going to, he's 100%. So you're going to see full Patrick Mahomes this week. That's all I got to say about that. I'll lay 6. I would lay 12. Doesn't matter. Go ahead. Go KC. Let's move to the Meadowlands, where we've got the Battle of New York. Oh my gosh. This is like one of those things where it's just like, plug your nose, but maybe you can find some value in one of those shitty games, and this is a shitty game, guys. We've got the Giants and the Jets. Giants laying 3. The bets are coming in on the Giants, but the spread has moved up from 2.5 to 3, so appropriately the spread has moved. So I think this is a square play here. So pretty much when it's a square play and you can bet whatever team you like more, I like the Giants more. I'll lay the 3 points here with the Giants just because I don't feel like I'm getting hoodwinked by Vegas. So go Giants, go Daniel Jones, go Saquon Barkley, and those Jets. I don't. How did they beat the Cowboys a couple weeks ago? I think I'm going to rewatch the Cowboys game because I have no idea how that squad that went out against New England and lost to Miami last week beat the Cowboys. So go Giants. Let's move on to New Orleans, Louisiana, where those Saints are only in 13.5 big points to Matt Ryan and the Atlanta Falcons. Now, I know the Falcons have been a total disappointment this year, but Matt Ryan is playing this week. Now, I didn't look at a ton of trends. I just did a little bit of math. The over-under in this game is 51. So that means that Vegas thinks this game is going to be somewhere in the 31 to 18. 33 to 19 range, somewhere in there. So Matt Ryan, who actually statistically this season is playing very well, has got to get his Falcons up to 19 plus points. So I'm going to take the Falcons to the 13.5 there. Say they get in the 20-point range. And sure, I think the Saints are going to win, but they're going to win something like 35-24. I mean, this is going to be a tight game going into the second half, and I think the Falcons are going to be able to score. And I'm just going to put my faith in Matt Ryan, Matty Ice, give me 22 points this week, and we have an easy cover. I appreciate it, buddy. Thank you very much. Let's go into prime time. I'm doing a double prime time special, which I know you're not supposed to do, but we're going to start off on Sunday Night Football with my Square Play Special of the Week. This game started at 3. It's still at 3. The money's pretty much even on both sides. So again, I just got to look at the teams and figure out who I like more. And I like the Cowboys a lot more than Kirk Cousins and the Minnesota Vikings. Kirk Cousins, not a primetime player. Now, Kirk Cousins, 1 o'clock game, at Tampa Bay, at Detroit, he might put up 400 yards. But in these primetime spots, not so much. I can see a couple turnovers out of Kirk early. Dallas Cowboys, statistically, top offense in the league. It's going to be the Cowboys. I mean, I guess the only thing that... I know the Cowboys are going to score, so that's why I like this. I like the Cowboys because I know they're going to score. I'd like to see Amari Cooper play tomorrow night, and I think he will. So I definitely go Cowboys here. I lay the 3 points happily. Let's move out to the Bay Area, where the undefeated San Francisco 49ers are hosting my Russell Wilson. My MVP, Russell Wilson. I love this guy. I mean, it doesn't matter what... I could block for Russell Wilson, and he would just say, hey, which way are you going to fall down? I'm going to go make a play this way. But I can't fall... 22 touchdowns, 1 interception this year. This guy's great. I'm not going to fall for it this week, guys. I'm going to take the Niners. I'm going to lay the 6. This line has moved from 6 up to 6.5, even though all the bets are coming in on Seattle. So that tells me the sharp money is coming in on the Niners, and I'm going to be on the right side this week. I'm going to take the sharp side here. I'm going to take the Niners. I'm going to lay the 6. Vegas is begging you to. I'm going to lay the 6. Vegas is begging you to take the 6 here, and those Seahawks this week and fall in love with Russ. But this game, the Niners, they've got a formula. They've got a running attack that is unmatched in the NFL right now, and I think they're going to play ball control. And Jimmy G's got the easiest job in the NFL. You just have all these great running backs or explosive speed behind you. And you just got a little play action and just perfect, boom, easy tight end over the middle, things like that. That's it, guys. I'm going to go Niners there, and I will see you fellas next week. Have a good night. Good luck tomorrow.